The Securities and Exchange Commission is probing Bored Ape creator Yuga Labs over unregistered offerings. Bloomberg reporting that the key legal question at the center of the probe is whether NFTs are securities. Joining us now is former SEC branch chief Valerie Dahiya, currently managing partner at Perkins Coie LLP. Valerie, great to have you on the show. So, a lot of folks believe NFTs are art, but at issue here is whether some of Yuga's non-fungible tokens are actually closer to stocks and thus should follow the same disclosure rules. It's a pretty fine line. What were your thoughts?
So it's an interesting question, and it's a question that comes up with a certain level of frequency in the NFT issuer space. And I don't know that the question is really whether they're similar to stocks per se, but if they're investment contracts. And when you understand where investment contracts originated, it was a common law concept that originated across the states well before the Securities and Exchange Commission existed. And when Congress was passing the 33 Act of the Securities Act of 1933, which governs the offer and issuance of securities, they added the investment contract into the definition to capture that common law concept. And then you see the 1946 Howie case where the SEC and Howie duke it out, and the Supreme Court pretty much sides with the SEC in that case and says that where you have a common enterprise, an exchange of value, and a reasonable expectation of profits based off the efforts of others, that you've created a security and that it should be issued pursuant to registration or an exemption therefrom.
Well, why? Okay, so then why would a painting not be, or is it an investment contract and an NFT would be?
So that is a very facts and circumstances question, and it's really based on how that painting is offered or sold. So if I have a painting and I say, "Hi, would you like to buy this painting?" And you're like, "Yes, I'm very interested," and we have a private transaction where you purchase the painting from me, I receive the funds, you receive the painting, we both go away very happy. It's different if I go out to the public and I say, "I have this painting that's $20 million. And I'm willing to offer a piece to you and a piece to you and a piece to you. And then I'm going to offer on top of that, I'm going to ensure that I'm going to offer insurance. I'm going to ensure that it's posted at certain museums so that there's some kind of economic benefit." Then that changes the nature of that painting to an investment contract, or it can, the way that I'm offering and selling it can in fact change the nature of that transaction to one where it's a passive, where the purchasers become passive investors.
Let's take the analogy a little further, though. I mean, you go on, let's say, Fox News or something, where they're plugging gold and whatever it is that they do, and they're, let's say you get an infomercial for half an hour that talks about you should all buy art, and they themselves sell art. But after a while, you get 40, 50 of these advertisers constantly pushing the theme that art is an investment more than it is for personal pleasure to hang in your house and look at. What happens to that small art dealer who's selling art? Just happens to be selling on a street, on a storefront. Is he now a securities dealer? Because so much of the environment has become about this thing being an investment that here he is trying to just make a living selling his art, that it becomes a security. It isn't kind of the same idea that, just because the environment is such that everyone talks about NFTs as if they are securities, doesn't make actually selling an NFT selling a security just because everyone else is doing it.
I think you have to differentiate between what are the efforts of the painter who is actually putting in their efforts, creating a work of art, and then once they sell it, do they have any ongoing managerial efforts that a reasonable person would expect would cause an increase in value? If they're standing on a street corner and selling that painting and they get whatever someone's willing to pay for it at that moment, they're not creating a secondary market. They're not advertising this as an investment. Just because other people are doing that doesn't mean that the person who originally distributed that piece of art is actually turning it into an investment contract. And so I think that you have to really understand who is doing what, and where, like specific to ApeCoin, when you go to whoever is controlling the Twitter feed associated with the ApeCoin, there's a lot of language there that implies that it is an investment and that it's open to the public, that they're entering into agreements with secondary markets to create that expectation of value, that they're retaining large quantities of the 1 billion of ApeCoins that they've created. And the question is, are you holding those because you expect that based on your efforts, the value is going to rise, and anyone who received it via the airdrop or purchases it on the open market, do they have a reasonable expectation that your efforts are going to create a potential profit for them?
Just to finally turn to a totally unrelated SEC topic, I'm sure you saw there was SEC charges against Kim Kardashian, who agreed to pay close to $1.3 million in fines. I'm just curious what you think about this. It's a little bit controversial. Some people think that it's sort of like unfair because, it's classic SEC regulation by enforcement. Like, why did they go after her and not all these other people? But others, including myself, have argued that, it could send a warning shot to other celebrity endorsers. I'm just curious what you think the implications of this case are.
I've been doing this a long time. My entire career has been on the securities, regulatory, and compliance side. So this is nothing new to me. It's kind of like par for the course. When you tout or promote and you don't disclose, that is just, there's so many cases that the SEC have brought. It's just that this is in the crypto space. And so to the crypto industry, it may be new. It may be something they're unaware of. But it's not something that I saw it and I was like, okay, that was common sense. I agree with you that the SEC has limited resources. So to the extent that they're going to decide who to charge or who to go after, it is a game of strategy that we want to pick somebody where it's going to be most impactful and send a very clear message and put the majority of people on notice, right? And so I think that that's part of what you're seeing is, they don't have the bandwidth to go after everyone, but the larger the personality, the bigger the impact to the potential retail or the investing public, the more likely the SEC is to take action.